What's up guys, Bryce here, and we're back at it again for another video. In this video, I'm going to be doing a track guide of Brazil. This track is very iconic, as most of you know it from F1, and it's just a really great track. I love it. The flow is amazing, and a lot of passing opportunities as well on this track. Very popular. But without further ado, let's get into a uninterrupted onboard lap, and then I'm going to be showing you more of an in-depth guide and showing you my tips around this track. So let's get right into this. So starting a lap in qualifying, there is something you can do to gain a little bit more time, only in qualifying though, because you don't want to be doing this in a race. But starting the lap here, you can actually pretty much go all the way to that wall on the right and sort of come in. I don't have an example of me doing it here. I do have another clip of it, but I don't have it on me right now, that video of me doing that. But you can pretty much go all the way to that wall on the right and just cut in, and you won't it won't affect your lap. So you can do that in qualifying depending on what the rules are for leagues or whatnot. But it's a risky thing if it's not really a stated rule, but you can do that to gain maybe like 2/100ths of a second at the line. But you know, on a normal race lap, obviously not gonna be doing that. So pretty much that's just that for maximizing straight line speed going into turn one. This track is amazing, by the way. Going down into turn one, you can see I'm using a lot of track on the right, and I'm really just trying to maximize the usage of track. The more track you can use, the more you can open up the corner. Most of you guys know that stuff. So going down into turn one, I'm braking, I would say 75 meters. Again, I'm gonna play this lap in slow motion and then you'll see. So braking 75 meters, really, I'm just focusing all on the exit. I'm compromising the entry a lot just to really focus on the exit. I'm using curb on one, and then for two, it's just sending it down the hill and focusing on the line going down to turn four. So it's really all about compromising the entry for turn one to just make sure that you nail the exit. So going down here, braking at the 75 meter board, pretty much I'm looking at the 50 and I'm just trying to brake as late as I can. But 75 meters is really where you want to be in that braking range. And then from here, you can see I'm using track on the right, but there's grass up ahead. So I usually stay to the right just so I know that I'm fully maximizing all of the track usage. And here you can see we just passed that billboard up ahead. When I pass that, that's like when I'm going to slowly start to turn in, and you can see I'm turning in. I have quite a bit of steering angle, and what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get parallel to the white line on the curb so I can flick the car in and go on power as soon as I can. So you'll see here I'm trying to get parallel, but I'm not going to get parallel because I'm just going to be compromising the line too much. But you'll see here I'm using quite a bit of curb on the inside, more than this, and the car will be pretty unstable and you have to slow down because the car's just doing too much and you're just giving it too much input. So around here is good. You could say you could use more curb on the inside, but again, the more curb you use, the more unstable the car is going to be, and the more that all four wheels aren't going to be on the ground, so you're not going to be able to go on power as quickly and get the right grip level. So I'm trying to get parallel with that white line. So this is probably as parallel as I'm going to get with it. And then from here, I rotate the car to the right, middle of the track, and I'm pretty much trying to straight line it all the way to the exit. And you'll see just how close I get to the exit using all the curb on the inside. Again, because you want to, basically turn as least as possible. And here you can see I'm just going all the way to this curb on the outside. And if you are where the car is right now and you are able to maximize the curb in turn 3 and the exit, that's usually how you know that you are using the right amount of track and you are carrying enough speed. Because I'm carrying so much speed that I'm using the maximum amount of track, and this is pretty much the limit right here, going into turn 3, which is really good. And then you slowly start to drift off the curb. Don't force it too much to stay tight to the left. You can sort of just unwind that wheel and just let the car naturally follow the flow of the track. Going down to turn 4, a really tricky and hard braking zone. You can brake pretty late here if you're really good at holding that threshold braking and trail braking really nicely. So you'll see the 100-meter board that is there on the left, and you'll see that white patch of concrete sort of open up, and we'll play this in slow motion. I'm braking right before that, and then I'm going to be turning the car in. Again, it's a really nice and smooth trail brake, and when you hit this curb, because you want to be able to use a lot of this curb, that's when I'm going to be sort of transitioning from brake to throttle, and I'm not going to be giving the car too much input because that curb can really be unstable for the car, and you'll slowly realize that the car will definitely wash out wide if you give the car too much input when you're on that curb. So breaking this down, we're braking right before this strip of concrete opens up. One really important thing that's like really critical, you need to make sure that you're doing this, is you need to be using all of the track. Now you can see here, if you look at the bottom right tire, we are pretty much using as much track as we can possibly use. We're almost over that white line, and somehow I didn't feel any grass through the wheel. But we're using all of the track. You need to be using all of this track and open up the corner as much as you can. If you are outside of that white line, you're not using enough track. You can see here I'm using this much track. I'm pretty much on the grass, and I'm able to maintain this, and I don't feel the grass at all. So we're turning in. It's hard to say where a turn-in point is because there's no real marker. I would say once you pass the 50 meter board, that's when you're going to be turning in. And you're going to want to be apexing where that concrete opens up here again. And again, same thing. Using all of the curb on the inside is going to be really critical because you can get on power earlier, and you can also just use more of the track, which is really going to help you increase your lap time. Now, exit curb is really tricky. You can get off tracks pretty easily. I think if you put more than half of the car over that white line, it's going to be an off track, or I think it's if you put your tires on the green stuff. I'm not 100% sure, but you'll definitely realize that the off tracks are pretty brutal on this one specific corner. Everything else I haven't had an issue with this track. Using the track on the left, pretty much just, you don't really need to hit this curb on the left, but just make sure that if you really want to maximize your lap time in qualifying, just make sure that you're staying tight to the left so you can gain a few hundredths from doing that. Approaching turn 6 and 7, again, same thing on the entry, using all of the track on the inside. Let's play this in slow motion really quickly. Not braking quite high, but we're having a nice volume of brake, and we're using a lot of curb on the inside. Same thing with the second one. It's a double apex corner, and then we're going to be straightening out the car, trying to get parallel on this curb to the left to set up the next sequence of corners. So let's go over that one more time. Using all of the track on the right, like I said, another really crucial thing. Make sure you're using all of the track. Turning in, and we're not braking a lot, but we're having a nice smooth trail brake. And then we're going to be using a lot of track on the right too. This is pretty much all the track we're using. You want to be able to use this curb because you can shorten the radius and just turn less in general. And it's pretty much a double apex, and you're going to use the throttle to sort of move your way through this sequence of corners. And that is turn 6 and 7, a really tricky sequence of corners. If you find that the car is oversteering, I would try to trail brake a little bit more. That can definitely help you out. Now going down into 8 and 9, the curb on the left, you can use this a lot, and you're going to want to be parallel like this on this curb. This is as much of as I'm using. You can use a little bit more and not get off track, but again, you're just going to be turning more into the corner. So it's all about finding a balance, and this is the balance that I found that works. And you can use a lot of curb on the inside of this corner right here. You can pretty much put the car on the inside of the whole track. And if you can do this, then go for it. And we'll just play this little sequence here. On the brakes, a nice smooth trail brake. On the gas, nice and early. And then this is going to set us up for turn 9, which is a big left-hander, a really cool corner. So taking curb on the right, like we said, going on the gas pretty quickly. You don't need to take a ginormous late apex for turn 9 because the corner is so big that even if you do carry a little bit more speed, it's going to balance out and even out because the lines are going to cross over. So I just like to go straight to the curb on the left. It's a little bit of a late apex. You can see I'm not fully attacking it, but I'm pretty much just staying tight to the inside here. A long trail brake and then get on the power pretty early. And make sure you're using all the track on the right on exit because you can get on throttle a lot sooner when you can use this track on the right. And that's what we're doing. And this is going to help us exit out turn 9, a really tricky corner. Once you get a feel for it, you're pretty much just staying tight around it and then getting on power to rotate through the corner and straight lining all the way to the exit. Now turn 10, which is one of my favorite corners on the track. This is a very late apex and I'm using all of the track on the left. So I'm trying to get to the left pretty quickly coming out of 9, but it's not really forced, but I'm just trying to get to the left as soon as I can. And again, you can see how close we are to the right. We're setting up a really nice late apex so we can get on the power very quickly. A smooth trail brake, and I'm apexing quite late. And again, I'm using a bit of track on the inside as well. So you can see I'm using this much track on the inside and I'm going all the way to the exit just like this. Be careful with the exit if you put more than half the car width on that stuff on the left, like that concrete diamond shaped pattern there, whatever that is. It's going to be an off track, so just be very careful with that. So I'm getting a really late apex, turning the car in, and I'm braking once the car straightens out, braking in a straight line, and then on the power, and just 2 more corners to go pretty much. For this corner here, 11, it's flat out in a GT3. It should be flat out in most cars if you line it up properly. You don't need to swing to the right and go back to the left. You can just go flat out and using the track on the right for the exit. For the exit is going to turn into the entry of turn 12. So stay on the right. You can use all this track on the right. You want to be using as much track as you can, like I said. There's that blue stuff, that blue painted tarmac. You can use that too. You can use a little bit of it. You can see the right tire is pretty much on that little sewage drain there, and that just helps you to open up the corner and on power as soon as I can. I probably could have taken a little bit more curb on the inside here, but again, you're going to be turning more, and this was just a lap that I have to show you guys. I don't think that last corner was optimal, but yeah, once you'll see here, once there's like these darker patches of grass, the one in the middle right here, before that is when I'm braking. If you can spot that where I'm braking, that's where I'm braking. And once it ends, I'm going to be turning in before it ends and on power pretty aggressively. And my advice for this corner here is you want to be looking at that curb on the outside there. That curb, the exit curb, if you can be spotting that and just making sure that you can get on power quick enough so that you'll pretty much line up with it and use all of it. That's my advice to you, because a lot of times, if you don't go on power quick enough, you realize that you're not using all the track. And if you go on power too quickly, you'll run out of track. So if you can just keep an eye on that and just calibrate and figure out, okay, when can I go on power so that I'm using just the right amount of exit curb, then you'll be really good. Like this situation right here. This is pretty much a really good amount of curb that you're using. I'm carrying enough speed so that I don't wash out, but I'm not carrying too little speed where I'm not using enough curb. And another few little tips here. In qualifying, just keep tight to the left. It's just minimizing the distance to the line. You can gain 0.02 of a second, maybe 3, depending. So just stay tight all the way to the left. This just helps you maximize your qualifying time. Obviously, in a race, you're not going to really be doing that. You're going to be taking the normal line through there. And that is going to be it. That is going to be a lap of Brazil. Really fun track. A lot of great F1 races have gone down here, and this will be the last race in the North American Racing League for Season 3. Hopefully you enjoyed. Hopefully you learned something from this video. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, or maybe tips for improvement, leave them down below. In terms of lap times, which I forgot to mention earlier in the video, this lap was a 1:32.3 with track temperatures of 95 degrees. and air temperatures of 76. Track temperatures and air temperatures are really going to affect your lap time around this track because Brazil is super hot. Anything, even just a change from 95-degree track temperature to, let's say, 85-degree track temperature is going to change the lap time very drastically. But for me, 95 degrees, I was able to get a 132.3 with like a 132 flat optimal lap. And hopefully you guys can definitely beat that and get a quicker lap than me. But these are just the tips that I found to work. Another thing that I thought I would mention really quickly, which isn't really talked about too much, in terms of a race situation, you can really get a nice run on somebody if you take a super late apex on turn 1. Like even later than this, I'm talking about you're hugging that left curb and then you swing back to the right. You can get them down into turn 4. Unfortunately, I don't have a clip of that. In the next track guide video, I'm hoping to get some sort of on-track battles so I can expand them and be more of like overtaking and defending guides on certain tracks. But you know what I mean. You've seen it happen in F1 so many times where drivers just get a ridiculously late apex on turn 1. They hug it and then they cut back. Turn 1 is a pretty good passing opportunity, and it's sort of a long game because you can get a nice run down to turn 4 as we saw Max and Lewis do that last year. But that's gonna be it. Enough rambling. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.